Hello, Athena. How are you?
Why is this not? What?
Athena, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. Yes, I'm in Georgia though now, so you probably can hear me.
Now I can hear you. Yeah, it's just the two of us here, and let's see, Miss Lori Martindale in the audience. So, but glad you got it fixed up. We've been having some connectivity issues around here too, so hopefully everything just works out.
I hope so.
I love the internet, and when it doesn't work, I hate it.
Right. I gotta get this up here. Okay. Did you say?
Hello, Betty.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing? And how's your husband?
My husband's doing okay, holding his
Good.
own. But thank you for asking.
Yeah, please tell me he's in our thoughts over here.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad we have this these Zoom meetings. It makes it much easier for me.
It really does. They're kind of a pain, but there's positives to them too.
Oh yeah, I like them really. Doesn't seem so much infighting.
I like it when it's working.
Yeah, well, that's
You're
true.
right, Athena, right? Yeah. Hey, Valerie, how you doing?
Hello.
You have a very jungle-like background there. Even in this digital world, this thing creates so much paperwork. Okay, we are lacking a quorum at this time, and I am lacking a glass of water, so I'll be right back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, you need a few more minutes for a quorum. Okay, we do have a quorum, so we'll just give another minute or two for other people to get to join in, and we'll just get going. Okay, seeing as we do have a quorum, it looks like we've got a decent amount of people here. So we'll just get started and hopefully others can join as they are able. And so I will call this meeting out of recess at 6:06. And our first group today or item in the budget is elderly services, also the VNA, but we'll do elderly services first, I guess. And let's see, that would be
That's me.
Ms. Wetmore.
Absolutely. You're gonna have to bear with me. It's been a while since I've had to do anything like this, so. I guess what I need to do first is a motion to approve the mayor's revenue.
Standard.
Yes.
Calling Standard.
Oh, Mr. Jackson, you're not on mute, sir.
Do I have a motion? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Second.
Could I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any discussion?
What are we
Hearing
starting?
none.
I'm sorry, what are we starting with?
Human services,
Elderly services.
elderly services. All right. And we're just starting the revenue part. Are we all set? Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any against? Yeah, that was simple. Okay, passes as whatever. Passes as
Amended.
amended. Wasn't amended, though.
Well, it wasn't really amended, it just passes.
It just passes. That's what I thought. Okay. Now I need a motion for the mayor's expenditures. I'll make the motion.
Oh,
Second.
Can I have a
second.
second? Thank you. Any discussion? Looks pretty straightforward to me, but
My question is that never mind, farmers are in front of me, sorry.
I'm sorry. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Farmer and Counselor Farmer and Counselor Baez. Have
Oh,
you-
okay. I'm not sure who is first, so I'll call on Mr. Farmer, Councilman Farmer, Farmer.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The only question I really have is on the transportation agreement.
Mhm.
I was wondering, through you, Chairwoman, um, i- is that enough money for us with the concerns around everything is supposed to open back up in the next week or so, and our seniors are an active group. So is that enough money, or should we bring it back up to the department request of 171,000? So if there's someone from the administration to speak on that, uh, I'd love that. If not, I'll make a motion uh, uh, after other people get the chance to speak.
I can speak on that. I believe when we met with them, when we met with the department heads, I thought she said that that was enough. But I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that's what she said, though. Does anybody else recollect that? Councilwoman Bonadies, do you remember that?
I don't, but Ms. Burbidge is here and is willing to speak.
Oh.
Oh, there she is.
Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Burbidge, would you answer Councilman Farmer's question?
Oh, of course. Hello, everyone. Yes, we have been allotted the 171,000. I track it by month. This month has gone up, and you're right in thinking that it will keep increasing as seniors are getting out more so. I believe that we'll be okay. But again, you're correct in saying there is possibility that now we'll start seeing it keep going up, right, Justin? Is that Mr. Farmer? Is that you? Okay, I agree with you on that. But we're built on hours of usage, which is if we go under our 4,920.5, then they'll credit back. So I do think at this juncture, and maybe with the next few summer months, it may be higher, but lower compared to the last years when we didn't have the virus. But my belief is that we'll be safe.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Mrs. Burbidge? Oh, Councilwoman Baez, did you have questions?
Yes, I was going to ask if I can get an explanation about the VNA fee reimbursement. I don't know if this is somehow obvious, but it's in two sections. It's got its own tab and it's also in the elderly services. I want to know, where are we putting the money?
I think they're two different ones. I think one is Quinnipiac. Oh, Mrs. Burbidge has the answer.
No, it actually isn't Quinnipiac. The VNA, the Visiting Nurse Association, was put into my department. So they bill us every month, and they bill us for programs, for home health care. They had, and I don't know if you saw the cover on the budget, but they, as of July 2020, they gave me the numbers. They had 967 Hamden patients, 33 patients because they do hospice now on hospice care. 24 residents attended the wellness classes, and 5 to 7 participate in the virtual support groups, and then 86 residents were vaccinated by the flu clinic. So they do that too. That entity was put under elderly services. So I receive the billing for it every month and pay out of that line item. It's important to remember this year with the COVID virus, right now we are using, we're administering the homebound vaccine clinic with the fire department.
Mhm.
And we are using a nurse out of Quinnipiac Valley Health Department. But there is an agreement trying to go in place now between QVHD and the VNA. Once that happens, the VNA will pick up the ball for the homebound, no matter how long this lasts, I don't know. And they will bill us accordingly. They will bill us hourly. So I do think we should stay away from taking anything out of that funding, because I don't know right now. We have a long list on homebound. So, because every week I extract names from that DPH or the Department of Public Health for homebound. So we will be needing to keep in mind that those funds should stay there, because I honestly don't know how long the virus is going to go, how long the homebound vaccine requests are going to continue.
Okay, because last year it was budgeted at 63,000, and then we were able to cut it 25,000 to 43.
And that's correct. And that's correct. But now the scenario has changed this year.
There are
And what's coming around the pipeline, I'd like to request that we don't touch those funds until I know what's going to happen with the homebound
and
vaccine.
year to date. So it's April now. So the year to date for March was 11,000. Do you know if it's still around in that range?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the first part
The
of that
year to
question.
date, on our book says 11,000 for March 2021. Are we still in that same range, or has it grown since last month?
Okay, the 11,000 for,
It says year to date expense for this line item.
oh, okay, that's possible because of the programming, but they're gonna, yes, that's, oh, I should have got it right here. Okay, VNA.
So that sounds like
Yeah,
what it's.
we have spent 14,288. There is a balance of 29,580.
Okay, 14,000 is now the year to date. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Thank you for the information.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got a little distracted.
No, don't apologize. We appreciate you being here.
Long day.
Sure. Yes.
Chairwoman, you're muted.
On here. Are you all set now, Councilwoman Baez?
I sure am. Thank you.
Okay, I see Councilwoman Shoemaker's hand up.
Thank you very much. Through you, Councilwoman Wetmore. I'm back on the transportation line, and I noticed that the actual from fiscal year 20, which included, of course, a few months of pandemic shutdown, was just over 140,000. So I just want to double check with Ms. Burbidge that she's comfortable with the 130 in the budget. Fiscal year 22 will sort of be the reverse of that. We'll be coming out of the pandemic, and then hopefully we won't have any more surges and we'll have an active time. Your comments and justification indicate a rate increase that's not effective until the following fiscal year, if I'm reading that correctly. So I'm just double checking. I appreciate my colleague from the 5th District raising this matter, and I just want to double check on that. You're not expecting a rate increase in fiscal year 22, but you are expecting it in fiscal year 23. Is that the correct interpretation of your notes?
The amount on the budget is 171,000.
That's your request.
Yes, we have spent 45,538 and 24 cents.
Right,
There's a balance of 125,461.76.
right.
They are union employees, much like the town, and they will get a rate increase during 2021.
Okay,
So, and again, we are basing it on the hours of usage. Now,
understood.
it was, and we, in the past, I mean, this year has been soft because of the COVID, but as
Right.
even this month, well, they can only go by a full month, they can give me reporting, but they did go up in their usage. We did go up in the usage for 3/31, for March 30 through March 31st.
Okay,
And I am expecting that to keep increasing as the people are able to get out more and the usage.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, it's just, I think there's myopic vision on this. There's tendency to think it's for a senior center, and it isn't. We help out Partnerships Adult Day Center for their transportation. We help out Davenport Dunbar. We help out all the elderly in the community. And we go to New Haven, North Haven, and the VA in West Haven for medical.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
so this is the purpose of my asking that you are really comfortable with 130,000 in the mayor's.
Well, I saw 171. Did something change?
That was your department request.
Yeah, and he's asking for 130.
The mayor put it at 130. So the
Okay. Again, we're based on hours of usage. I don't know, I feel that we will use it. I was basing it on 171.
got it. That's what I needed to know. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion? Councilman McGarry?
Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion to increase line 1190100728 elderly services transportation to the recommended department request of 171,000.
Second,
Any discussion on the amendment? Councilman McGarry, do you want to speak again? Your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'll speak again, but I just forgot to put my hand down. I just think it sounds like Ms. Burbidge is saying she could use the money. So I would like to make sure, and I probably stepped in front of Councilor Farmer on this one. But yeah, let's just get them the money, make sure our seniors can go from place to place.
Okay, any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote as amended.
My hand's up. Sorry.
Oh, you know what? I can't see your hand. Sorry.
That's okay.
Councilman Caesar.
Just a quick comment. This money, if by chance this account were to run short, they can come for a transfer, couldn't they? So I'm going to speak against this only because I think that if the money does run out, they can come to us for a transfer. I think that's probably the better way to go. That's my own opinion. I'd rather keep it at the 130, and if the money does come short, happily come back and see us and we can make a transfer then. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Any other discussion? Am I missing somebody?
Mr. Farmer and Ms. Shoemaker.
Oh, okay. I don't see their hands because I'm on my iPad.
I'll keep you informed, Ms.
Okay. Councilman Farmer, would you like to say something?
yes, Chairwoman. It is a well-taken point the counselor at large brought up. We should stay cognizant of the costs that we are inquiring. At the same time, I feel there are certain items that we have to be judicious to make sure that we fund in case the administration ends up with other priorities. So I will be in support of this, but I do share the general sentiment that we got to rein it more in this year for emergency funds to come to us.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms. Shoemaker has her
Councilwoman
hand up.
Schumacher. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm missing the little raise my hand over in the panelists. So Yeah, I'm of two minds about this. I appreciate Councilman at Large Caesar's reflection on that, and am inclined to agree with it. I'm not sure that we would fail to find the money if we needed it for this. And I'm also not confident that we won't stumble again in surging with the pandemic. So I asked my question of Mrs. Burbidge because I wanted to hear what she thought her highest estimate was, but I'm not confident that we'll be able to stay open because of how the progress of this has gone. So I'm inclined to vote against the amendment to raise it at this point. Thank you for
Thank you.
raising.
Anyone else? Any other discussion? Councilman McGarry, is there anyone else? I can't see the hands
I'm
raised.
sorry, Ms. Baez.
Okay, Councilwoman Bias, would you like to say something, discuss something?
I'm going to vote in favor of making this amendment, bumping this cost up. Ms. Burbidge told us during our first meeting discussing this department that she really needed this $171,000. And last year she went over this 130 quote. So I would feel much better giving her the amount that she estimated their department needing. But with that said, can I discuss the VNA? I think that we should be dropping the amount for the VNA, $10,000. So with that in mind, I'm okay bumping up this line as long as we're able to even it out elsewhere in the budget a little bit. But yes, I'm voting in favor of this being 171 as requested by the department.
Thank you very much. Any other
There a
discussion?
second on the amendment? Was there a second? On the
I
motion?
was,
Councilor Farmer seconded.
Yeah. Councilman Caesar?
Thank you. I just want to make it really clear that I'm not opposed to elderly services transportation whatsoever. I just want to make it clear that my opposition really is the fact that I think that it's not just this department, but you give 170, they're going to spend 170. I'd rather get it at 130 and let people be frugal and find ways to make it work versus just giving 170. I'd rather have people come back and say, hey, we're over because of this or that. Can you please, fund us some more? It's called fiscal constraint. I really think that we're in a tough situation. I really want to make sure that we're doing our best with all these different lines to try to, make it reasonable. I agree with Councilwoman Schumacher from the 6th District talking about the fact of not reopening. I think there's going to be some issues there with this number as well. Like I said, I'll just make it abundantly clear, though, I totally support the transportation for elderly services. Absolutely 100%. I got a senior citizen mother. She'd slap me if I voted against this, obviously. I just want to make sure it's clear that I totally support what you do, Ms. Burbidge. It's just a matter of holding the line accountable. That's all I'm coming from. So I really appreciate all you do. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Caesar. Anybody else?
Ms. Bonadi, Councilor Bonadies has her hand up.
Councilwoman Bonadies, you have
Thank you.
something you'd like to say?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, the visiting nurse, if that doesn't hit the 60,000 mark, if that's under, there can be an internal transfer. Let's just leave it. I mean, if we're going to try to micromanage, you're going to cut this one a little bit, raise this one a little bit. I mean, if something runs under, Ms. Burbidge can take those funds and request a transfer and put those right into her transportation funds if she finds that this is running a little over. That's I'm not going to support the amendment or the motion to raise it to 171, given the fact of what we've used thus far. And so I think there's enough money in this budget for Ms. Burbidge to make some internal transfers if that's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Help me out
I'm
here.
sorry, Councilor McGarry has his hand up. I just have a quick question for Ms. Burbidge and then a comment. Ms. Burbidge, in terms of managing this line, how would you go about managing it? Do you have a mechanism for less usage if people want to use it, or is it just the amount of usage equals the amount that it's going to cost? like a way to mitigate cost increases.
An hourly.
Okay, if I understanding you correctly, you're asking, is there any way I can control of the usage to even keep it at a modest level?
Right.
No, I do not have that. The calls are received to the dedicated line to transit. So I'm not privy to all the calls until the month has passed, and then they show me the breakdown. Just keep in mind, we did even last year go over the 130,000. And I understand that you can pull from another item line, but I didn't go to, I mean, if you look, I don't have a whole lot of line items and a whole lot of budget, to be honest with you. And I'm not complaining, but if you're taking from the VNA, I can't put this point in any firmer, but if they step up, which they're working on the agreement now to do the homebound, we are going to be charged hourly for the homebound administering of vaccines. And this is for Hamden, truly homebound people. I have assessed every one of them. So that is my concern. As long as, if you look at my budget, let's be honest here, I don't have a whole lot to work with, right? If you're pulling here, pulling there, I understand what transfers are. I've done transfers. I have, honestly, every year that I've been in my position, I've always managed to give back to the town. And because I understand the frugality and the fiscal responsibility I have in my position. But I just want to be put on record that, if I need the money, I'm going to have to get, hopefully you'll back me up.
I would hope so too, Ms. Burbidge. So I'm just gonna, say, let's have a budget be, if we think the money, that's what the number is, let's just do that number. So I would just ask for some support for that line, because Ms. Burbidge has not indicated that she has control. She can't mitigate the line to make it less. So if that's the number, let's put it there. And it's always kind of a guesswork at these things, but I would say let's give her the resources she needs to do her job. Councilor McDowell, Farmer, and Shoemaker next, Ms. Wetmore.
Okay, Councilman McDowell, would you like to speak?
Yes, thank you very much. Forgive me if we're no longer on the subject. I had to switch devices. I was having some connection issues, so I missed the last little chunk there. However, I do want to remark on what we were speaking on prior. I think I absolutely support Councilman Caesar's point about being frugal and cutting back where we can. I think it's critical that we're doing that and being responsible with every single dollar. I do think it is critical. What the balance I'm trying to strike this budget season, my colleague from the 5th District used the word judicious, and I like that word a lot. Being judicious and balancing the need for cutbacks where possible, but while also being honest about our projections. There are certain costs that are they're going to be what they're going to be, and putting ourselves in a position where we ask department heads to do more with less is going to result in potential, being in the red, right? And so that's the balance I want to communicate that with my colleagues, that I'm trying to strike that balance of honest projections about what it costs to run the town, and of course same with revenues as well, while also having targeted goals about where we can save money and see more efficiency. So I'm going to support this increase. I think this is more the This is more on the side of, this is a cost that we're going to have. It's a cost that is determined by usage. It's not something that we can ask a department head to target for efficiency or cutbacks. If people choose to use the service, it's going to cost that. And I don't want us to run a deficit because of usage being high. So I will be supporting this, and I appreciate you all humoring me for this. I just wanted to communicate my thought process and where I think we need to be, again, in terms of where we're looking for efficiencies, but while also honestly projecting a budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McDowell. Councilman Farmer.
Thank
Did
you, Chairwoman. Through you, I was just going to share the sentiments of Director Burbidge on how this is the second largest item in the elderly services budget. So just highlighting that again, I won't belabor the point.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'm sorry, if you have your hand up, I can't see.
I'm sorry, Ms.
Councilman
Schmicker
McCary.
has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Burbidge, I'm going back and forth on this. I'm reading about both the Transportation and the Visiting Nurses Association, and I noticed that the VNA is requesting an increase because patient care is expected to increase due to isolation and recovery in the homes. And I'm trying to understand if what that is referring to is an increase in people staying home because of what's possibly a rightful fear of vulnerability to the pandemic. And might that imply that then fewer people would be using transportation? I'm just trying to understand this based on the two lines together. Can you comment on how the expected increase in the need for home care, does it or does it not relate to an expected return or failure to return to using the transportation system? For example, to go out to medical appointments, which I believe is a major use of the transportation system. I hope I'm communicating effectively enough as to what my line of inquiry is.
I understand what you're asking, and the isolation, the staying at home that was initially in the beginning of the virus did leave, and also they're at that point in their journey,
Right.
Lifespan.
Right.
But the ambulation has declined significantly among our seniors.
Right.
I would not ever say that the same individuals that are now home with caregiving, home care, were also the mirrored match of who used the bus.
Understood. And that
Okay,
is what we're trying to get at here.
Yeah, no, I would not say the majority of them are not. No. I am saying that a lot of our seniors have declined, not only mentally, but also physically. I'm not blaming it all on the virus. It's part of the age that we are, seeing or witnessing.
Understood.
And home care agencies in general, I speak to them daily, different agencies are in need of workers because it's so increased in demand.
Right.
But I would not say there is one mirrors the other. I wouldn't say these are the same people that ride the bus, therefore the bus isn't going to be tapped into as much. Because we are also helping out Partnerships Adult Day Center, which is really critical to a lot of the families, not only for the working family members, but also for that individual with dementia that needs the daily outing to the Adult Day Center to get the stimulation and the cognitive care.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we don't need to belabor this anymore. I think I understand what you're saying. And it seems like that the VNA line has to pretty much stay where it is. And that you are defending that the 130 will not be enough for transportation.
Well, and I only say that, councilperson, is because the last few years, I've never seen 130. I would like to see 130, but I
Right.
know for a fact that, and you hit it right on the nail head. The medical is demanding, and it is got to be a priority. It just has to be. And we were taking him for groceries to get the one bag of groceries, or they had to go to the bank, and so we got to remember we have, which surprised me, but when they did the numbers, we now have over 13,000 60 and over, and that's significant for a town to have that many. It's probably 13,400, 500 or something of that nature. I mean, that's quite a bit of seniors you have in the town,
Right.
and
Okay.
they're our moms and dads, and they need our help.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, with the VNA, please remember that if they do the homebound, as we expect and we hope that they do, that is going to go on for how long? I don't know,
Right. Right.
And these are people. If I told you some of the stories of the people that are homebound in this town, it would break your heart.
Understood. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I really want us to be frugal when we can, but I think
And I understand.
I understand better that these two lines, as you have requested them, are essential to what you have well assessed is the need. So, while I appreciate that my colleagues have instigated a thorough discussion of this, but I now will be supporting the increase in that line, but I will not be supporting any decrease in VNA. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
You have your hand up, Ms. Wetmore, and Councilor Caesar has his hand up.
Okay, Councilman Caesar?
Thank you. The actuals last year were, I believe, 141. Is that correct? 141.
That's 141,366.
Would you entertain a friendly amendment to make it $145,000?
Split the difference? Sure. Mr. Farmer, Councilor Farmer?
I apologize. I lost you there at the end. Would you mind repeating the friendly motion?
Sure. What I stated was that it was 141 in actuals for this past year, and I made a friendly amendment for 145. It sounds like the council president's willing to entertain that, so I just wanted to, he's calling on you to ask your opinion if you accept the friendly amendment as well as the seconder.
I unfortunately cannot.
I believe.
Okay,
Continues on the amended resolution, or on the amendment.
Can I get a point of information for the actuals for 18-19?
sure, Councilwoman Baez.
And the actual for 18-19 is 194,440.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Councilor Farmer has his hand up.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Councilman Farmer.
thank you, Chairwoman. I normally I would accept that. But with us going to a new contract, I just want to make sure that this doesn't get that this holds us into the next budget, and that we're not debating and haggling on this for the next budget. So that's the only reason why.
Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the line item as amended? Please raise your hand or say yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Abstentions?
I didn't get all the opposed yet.
Marjorie, you vote?
Can the opposed put their hands back up? Looks like I, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like I have Councilman Caesar, Councilwoman Shoemaker, Councilwoman Rowe Lewis, Councilwoman Dolan, Councilwoman Bonadies, Councilman Weber, and Councilwoman Wetmore. Did I miss any that are opposed? 7 opposed, there's 13 present. That means 6 in favor. It fails.
It fails. Thank you very much. I guess that it passed as, it failed as amended. Is there any discussion or? Councilwoman Shoemaker, I think I see you waving at me.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. I would like to move that we raise the transportation line to 145,000. May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Councilman McGarry, is there anyone with their hand up?
No, there is not, Ms. Council.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the vote on the amended amount, 145,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I don't see any opposed.
Okay, so it passes unanimously at 145,000. Okay, any other discussion on this budget for the elderly services?
Chairwoman, I believe we still have to vote on salaries.
Oh, I was still on expenditures. I'm sorry. I wanted to know if there was any other discussions on expenditures. Okay, hearing none. We'll move right on to,
Ms. Baez has her hand up.
I'm sorry.
No, I put it up really late. I'm just gonna put it out there. I know there was some anti to it, but I'm gonna say that I'm proposing that we cut down this V&A expenditure to $50,000. I'm still gonna put it out there. Do I have a second?
Do we have a second on that? To reduce it, the VNA to $50,000?
Ms. Dolan seems to be
I'll
indicating.
second, sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank
She's
you.
indicating a V
Sorry,
for
I will
victory.
second.
I'm so
for us.
sorry that I can't see your hands when they go up that little yellow hand. I can't see, so. Okay, we have a second.
Okay, may I speak on it because I made the motion?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. Just because looking at the past actuals, it's 34,000, and then it went to, it was $34,000 was our actual for 18-19. And this year it looks like we still are at 14. I know we're set to 14,000. I know we're set to bump it up a bit, but because it's a fee reimbursement, I think that we have the ability to have a little bit of foresight when it comes to reimbursement and knowing if we're going to come close to going over. I'm sorry, I feel like such a jerk, but I'm just trying to find some savings. So yeah, that's my statement on that.
You're never a jerk, Councilwoman Baez. Any other discussion?
Councilor McDowell, Farmer, and Shoemaker have their hand raised.
Okay, Councilman McDowell?
Yeah, forgive me if any of this is redundant. Like I said, I was having some connectivity issues earlier, so I missed some of the conversation. I'm just wondering if someone could explain to me why there was this requested increase, given Councilwoman Baez's assessment. Why was the request for this increase?
Mrs. Burbidge, are you there?
Yeah, I am. I didn't know if I was allowed to speak.
Absolutely.
They were at this before, but last year we know things had changed, but they are anticipating the increase in home care as you know, as the discussion I had with Councilperson Schumacher, you know, the homebound have increased.
Right,
And again, we are anticipating, if they sign that contract, they're going to be now administering going home to home with the vaccine along with the fire departments.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McDowell. Councilman Farmer, did you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, Chairwoman. Through you, um, I cannot support this motion. I do appreciate the judicious spirit of going through the budget, and I'm hoping that as we go through the rest of the budget, we are just as judicious with other departments. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. And Councilwoman Schumacher, did you want to speak?
Thank you. Yes, I too appreciate the attempt to quickly offset the increase that we just approved in another line. But the contractual requests in the justification seems pretty solid, and we did hear from Mrs. Burbidge that they expect these increases. And seems to me very well thought out. And this may be the line where she has to come back for more money. I hope not. But I also cannot support the reduction. But again, I appreciate the sentiment. With $15,000, we have to find somewhere. So
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote on the amended item. All in favor? All in favor of the amended item? Did you get that, Kim?
Yeah, it looks like 2.
All against?
Opposed?
Yeah, that fails with 2 in favor.
Okay, thank you very much. That item passes as amended. It does not pass as amended, it failed. Okay, and now we'll move on to the positions.
Woman, well, you have to take a vote on the expenditures overall as amended.
Oh, okay, thank you. Could I have a motion to vote on the amendments, the expenditures as amended?
So
A
moved.
motion? Thank you. Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed, Kim?
Nope, it looks like it's unanimous.
Okay, if the expenditures pass unanimously. Thank you very much for putting up with me with my iPad. Next, we'll move on to positions. Can I have a motion to accept the mayor's positions as presented?
second.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion?
Mr. Farmer, Councilor Farmer has his hand raised.
Okay, Councilman Farmer?
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just want to thank the department for the work that it does and has been doing to the point that Councilor McDowell said earlier through you. There's first responders and then there's these second responders. So just want to take the opportunity to thank them and also to thank them for always just asking for the pay increases that they've gained, nothing more, nothing less. It is appreciated.
Thank you very much, Councilman Farmer. I totally agree with you. Any other discussion?
Councilor Caesar has his hand raised.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, Councilman Caesar.
On the topic of raises, I just want to clarify, the raises here are contractual, correct, for the coordinator, is that true?
Yes, yes, they are.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the mayor's positions as stated, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed, Kim?
Nope, it looks unanimous to me.
Thank you very much. It passes unanimously, and I would like to move on to the next one for the person. Thank you very much again for putting up with me tonight with this iPad.
You did great.
I tried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Burbidge, for being with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Ms. Burbidge has visiting nurse as well. Although hopefully
I
that's.
thought didn't we do that already in the expenditure?
Oh, you're right.
line?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
It used to be separate. Now it's not. Ms.
Yes.
Burbidge, we did go over your time a little bit, so thank you for sticking with us. Of course, we did start a little late, so it kind of worked out. So thank you very much for your time, Ms. Burbidge, and thank you for what you do for the town every day.
Thank you.
thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
Next, our town attorney.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion now to accept the mayor's proposed. Sorry, I'm pulling it up right now.
There are no revenues, just expenditures and.
That's what I thought. All right, just wanted to be sure before I moved on. All right, I'll accept a motion to accept the mayor's proposed, moved by, all right, there we go. I think Attorney Gruen, I believe you had, you requested to just go through your budget real quick with us.
Yep. So I thought I would, good evening, members of the council. I thought I would just go line by line with you. I think there's probably only two areas that will require lengthy discussion, or maybe not. So do you want me to start with salaries, or do you want me to end with salaries?
Right now, we are focusing on expenditures, so if we could start with that, if you don't mind.
Okay, so, okay, my dues and subscription line 109010541. The mayor's budget total is 825, same as this year. Expenses are for the Connecticut Bar, CAMA, we cut out the Law Tribune. I think we're going to end this year projected under that, but we're requesting the same amount as last year. Books, manuals, and maps 109010718. We got rid of our book subscription, and that left us with our Lexus subscription, same as last year at $3,000. I will remind the council, this is the last year of a 3-year agreement. So that rate of $3,000, I will be okay for next fiscal year, but we will be coming to you with a new contract during the fiscal year for 22-23. Court judgments, same as last year at $3,000. We're anticipating a little bit, projecting this year to come in a little bit less, but that's a line that you just never know what's going to happen. So I recommend we seat it the same way at $3,000. I'm sorry, that was 109010834, and fee reimbursement 109010941. Our budget this year, 1,500. Same for next fiscal year. I will tell the council that we had to do $1,000 transfer. So we're projecting coming in at 2,500 this year. We had some additional fees. I think that was related to the Brooksvale acquisition, that we needed some additional money for title work. Professional tech, 109180590. We're budgeted this year at 350. Right now, I'm projecting we're going to land about 375. So we will be coming to you with a transfer, and projected next year at requested for next fiscal year at 415. That is an increase where I'm anticipating increases for that line item is tax appeals. We had a reval. I know that we had between 200 and 250 appeals to the Board of Ed, with 70 to 90 additional commercial appeals over $1 million. So they usually get between 50 and 80. They're at about 300. That will translate into litigation somehow for our office. There are some matters, other matters that I am dealing with in the office that I think will fall into this year as well, causing the requested increase.
Thank you, Attorney Gruen. I had a couple quick questions before we. Sorry, Mr. President. Did you have something?
Oh, no, I'm just doing a quick count of who we have here.
Okay, I just want, there's what, other than salaries, we do have that other line, settlement reserve, that we share with the council.
Right. Go ahead.
Right, and I just, we funded it at 100,000 this year, and it's funded the same way for next year.
Okay. I did have two quick questions before we move on to further conversation.
Sure.
Regarding the contracts that will come to us for 22-23, given your sorry, what remind me what specific contract that is?
That's our online research software, Lexis.
Yeah,
that is the sole, other than Google, of course, that is the sole research tool that we have for the office.
Yeah, no, great. And I guess what I want to make sure on that is, if we are going to be potentially seeing an increase beginning in 22-23, is that a contract that will come to us this fiscal year so that we are prepared for that increase at the beginning of next fiscal year?
I think we always try to.
Right.
We know it's ending, so we know we have to deal with that.
Right. I guess I just want to make sure that we're not caught by surprise, or that we don't set a budget and retroactively need an increase there.
Right.
And we want to make sure we're honest.
When we do next year's budget, we will know that.
Good.
Unless, of course,
And then the other question is that professional technical, obviously you've laid out, there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline in the next year. You requested $450,000. The mayor proposed $415,000. And I suppose I want to ask you, is $415,000 something you think is reasonable and honest? Can we, is that again, trying to balance goals that we can attain versus being honest with our budget projections? Is this an honest projection? Can we get to 415?
I think I think so. I think that I'm just looking at we have additional expenditures that I am aware of that are causing us to be higher this year.
Yeah.
And I anticipate we will have those same additional expenditures for next year. I've budgeted out in the categories where I think they will land, and I'll just have to watch it very carefully. And the answer to your question is yes, 415.
Okay, thank you. I believe the first individual with their hand up is Councilwoman Dolan.
Thank you very much. Attorney Gruen, thank you for sharing the information about the tax appeals. Would you mind repeating that information? I was interested to know the details of that one more time.
So as you know, it's a reval year.
Yes.
Okay, 2020 grand list appeals went to the Board of Assessment Appeals already. They have completed their work. My understanding, and I could be off a little here, is that
Sure.
they heard between 200 and 250 appeals. I'm sorry, plus another 70 to 90 commercial appeals exceeding $1 million that they denied, I'm sorry, without a hearing. A typical non-reval year, remember, we've just, a year ago was the end of the 5-year reval period. I believe they hear between 50 and 80. And so obviously there's a big bump up in their work, and that will translate to a big bump up in our work. It isn't unusual. This happens for when there's a reval.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually asking about it for further on in deliberations when we get to look at the tax revenues to make sure we're using reasonable numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Just to confirm, you said that there's 70 to 90 commercial appeals exceeding $1 million.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for the details. I appreciate it.
Is there any further discussion on the town attorney's expenditure lines? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the town attorney's expenditures, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand or giving a thumbs up.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any abstentions? Seeing none, no opposed and no abstentions, the town attorney's lines for expenditures passes unanimously. I'll now request a motion to accept the mayor's proposal for town attorney positions.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Attorney Gruen, I believe you wanted to discuss this with us.
Sure. Yep. So salaries. The major, there's, as I mentioned to you when I addressed you last month, the workload in this office has increased enormously in the last year. Started before last year, but last year has been like no other year. And not only related to COVID. The number of document requests that we deal with in this office on a daily basis has increased to a level that I have never seen before. In addition, the usual research required for drafting ordinances, opinions, and memos has brought challenges this year, particularly into new areas. Every day in this office is a new day, it's a new challenge. And when I come in the morning, you don't know what you're going to be dealing with. And when I leave at night, I don't know what I'm going to face the next day. The retirement of Patty Lujic, our paralegal, has left an enormous gap. We're in process of recruiting for her replacement, but there really is no replacement for Patty. It does not account, a replacement cannot account for the decades worth of experience working side by side with Patty, on a daily basis in a busy, and I can assure you, stressful environment. I could not have handled this without her. And just to remind you, for this fiscal year, Patty has been behind the collection of approximately $7,000 in fines, $29,000 in extra duty, $1,500 in relocation, and $35,000 in liens related to blight. I told you previously, Tim Lee handles all the land use. He attends their meetings. He handles their litigation and court appearances. Brendan Sharkey handles legalities related to energy, relocation, trash, and disposal. He attends the policy board meetings, handles tree hearings, and animal control. The added position would be used to take some of the daily workload off of me. And to be clear, I do not expect that that position will decrease the use of our outside counsel or professional technical fees. And that's my pitch. I know that we have increased, we have a lot going on in the office. So with that said, I want to be clear that additional position is part-time. There's a mistake in the budget. It shows at 35 hours. That is not the case. It's 20. At 20 hours, employees get benefits, but they are not entitled to pension. Pension is more than 20 hours. My projected budget this year in salaries will be decreased because of Patty's retirement, but we are hoping that the new employee will be able to overlap at least for a month with her. So she can teach him or her, what she does on a daily basis.
Certainly, Patty, Mrs. Lujic will be missed. Her service to the town has been unmatched. Is there any discussion from anyone on town attorney's positions? Councilman Farmer.
Thank you, Chairman. Through you, I guess my first question, and this question might be more appropriate for Director Jackson. But any capital purchases for these departments, would it make sense to ask departments individually for them to send that to us, or to wait at another time? Because if we're hiring new employees, they're going to need systems and other things. So if I could get an answer on that, that might be helpful with my other line of questioning.
Thank you, Council. You said that that was a question for Director Jackson?
Yep.
Yeah, there are very limited scope of activities that could even possibly be capitalized requests that are incorporated in the operating budget because they blow off the scope of the operating budget, frankly. So what you see here is entirely operating, and what you will see shortly will be a capital plan, sir.
Okay. I'll speak to the position. We are a town that's really a city. This is an expense that we will, moving forward, we have to really commit to one or the other. Either we're going to cut back and pretend that we are not a city, or we are going to start to lay the foundation that we are a city and appropriately have the resources to accommodate that. So in general, I'm not in favor of any new positions. But this is one that we really should think long and hard about. The last thing I'll say about adding new positions, any new position I add or vote to add, I'm going to be asking my colleagues to support me in finding money elsewhere in the budget to make up for that. So thank you, Chairman, for letting me share my sentiments and concerns.
Thank you, Council. Sorry, Director Jackson, did you have something to add?
Oh, yeah, just to make it very clear, there are very strict limitations on what capitalized funds can be used for. And so when you issue, there's a hard limit of 5% for any administrative purposes. So you can't really staff based upon the capital budget. So if there's any concern about the utilization of capital funds to to do that, it's not allowed by law.
Chairman, do you mind if I just respond?
Yes, Council.
Yeah, I'm thinking of things like the printer and other things that often break in costs like that in terms of capital. I'm not so much concerned about furniture and other things. But through you, Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. I did put myself on the list here. Yeah, I agree. Not the time to be adding positions. However, this is a liability. At a certain point, we have grown to a point where the legal work has far outgrown what we have here for staff. So we need to address that directly. And this seems like a fiscally responsible way to do this. I appreciate Attorney Gruen finding a way to do this that does not implicate our pension obligations or other liabilities. So appreciate Attorney Gruen. I appreciate your efforts there to find the most fiscally responsible way to handle this. What has become an overwhelming workload for you and your team. I believe next on the list was counsel from the 6th District.
Thank you, Chair. I too want to add my support for adding this third assistant town attorney. And we'll just note that in our sustainability efforts, there are a set of new ordinances that we will want to give some serious consideration to, and we'll need some help from the town attorney's office in drafting those. And I believe those will be very important for economic development and other kinds of considerations in town. So thank you for adding to the staff, and I hope there'll be some bandwidth to do as well. Won't be a lot, but a little bit. It'll be important. Thank you.
Point well taken. This will enable us to do a lot of work that we have been sensitive about adding to our town attorney's office. I believe.
Thank you.
Counsel at Large Caesar was next on the list. Is that accurate? Okay. Counsel Caesar.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Gruen. I have a couple of questions for you. If you possibly have a chance to look up for me at some point before the end of the budget season. How many assistant town attorneys do surrounding towns of Hamden size have? I'm curious to know how many towns similar to Hamden would have in terms of those types of positions and what their salaries are, if there's a way to get those. I'm not sure if you can, but I'd be curious to know if we can get that information in terms of comparisons, just to get an idea. Also, we have a line item in our council budget for legal services. Is this something that we can reduce now because we're adding another position there? Maybe we can step down.
That's entirely up to you. I don't think it serves the same purpose. I think we do our best to advise you whenever possible. I don't shift the work to your council unless necessary. I think there's a unique set of needs that the council has that sometimes is not exactly the same as administrative work that we might do from this office. I do feel like I take on the work whenever possible.
My hope would be that we could look at that as a council very carefully, because if we're going to add another position here, I really think we have to find a way to get out of the habit of having that line there and just rely on our town attorney assistant and 3 assistant town attorneys now.
Not to interrupt, I think you need to fund it because there are circumstances and needs that the council has that this office really can't. There's oftentimes conflicts and special requirements like the charter revision, which will be over.
Why wouldn't we advertise this position to have that as one of the skill sets necessary? So that way we can have that ability to have that line be covered by you guys instead of it be a separate line item. I mean, what's the actual, I had connection issues. What's the actual job description of this position? What will they be doing? I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
I don't have the job description in front of me. It's the same as the rest of us. It's everything and anything related to, town. I don't have the job description in front of me. I'm sorry.
Everything except for the council work that we may have to require for
special needs of the council. I leave that up to you. I don't make the decision. I often will contact you when I think there's a conflict, and sometimes there is.
Thank you. I really, I'm gonna be opposed to this position. I actually would like to table it until we get more information in terms of the number of positions that are available in other towns for assistant town attorneys. I'd also like to see a job description of the positions so we know exactly what they're doing, because obviously this is a costly addition. These positions obviously wind up costing us more benefits and everything, and I just want to see that information. So
I'll make a request of CCM tomorrow.
Thank you, Council. Can I make a request that we just allow those with their hands up to speak first before their emotions?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll come back to you for any motions you'd like to make. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Councilor McDowell. I will be supporting this. As we talked a lot of us have talked about what to do with this budget, maintaining balance. And I do think, we have to make sure that this budget is balanced, but we also have to fix the problems that we know exist. We know we have problems in some of our offices. We know we have some compensation issues, and we know that we have a problem in this particular office. I think we understand what Ms. Gruen has said. So I will be supporting this position. And I do think, as our town continues to grow and continues to, have more and more complex issues that confront it, we will need this extra person in our office. And it is separate. Unfortunately, I wish we could. Ms. Gruen does a lot of work for the council. But there is sometimes there are things that the council needs a separate attorney for. I wish it could all be Ms. Gruen, but it can't. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council from the 5th District.
Thank you, Chairman. Through you, Chairman, I think Attorney Gruen kind of laid it out for us. There are things that are specialized, and as the law becomes more technical and more niche, we're going to need people with those expertise. I will, however, just to be consistent with previous votes, if the counselor at large makes a motion to table until we get a job description, I think we should be consistent in that. As we had questions about job descriptions before, I don't think we should be hiring anyone without having the job description. So if that motion is made, I will support it. But in the end, I am in support of this new position.
Thank you, Council. Mr. President.
Thank you. I just want to make just double check here. Ms. Gruen, I don't want us to table pending information we would not be able to get. How long would it take for a job description to be created, and would that have to go through civil service? Like, is it possible to get a job description in a timely fashion before we run out of time for the budget?
Well, two things. One is with regard to Councilman Caesar's request. What I'll do tomorrow is make a request from CCM to see what kind of information they can provide with regard to surrounding towns. I know towns staff their town attorney's office in many different ways, but I will absolutely make that request. The second thing is, as far as a job description, I have not even begun to develop a job description for the assistant town attorney. I haven't looked at the assistant town attorney job description in a long time. The only thing I would really officially be able to do is give you whatever personnel has on file for that, which I'm happy to provide, if, with whatever they have. Perhaps with the council's indulgence, you could table that one item and, approve the rest, and let me see what I can come back with for you. The other thing is, just a little bit off topic, I may have misspoken with regard to the tax appeals. I have another document that tells me there's somewhere around total of 250 appeals. That may include the commercial. So I see Mr. Standard, and I know Finance Director Jackson is here, and I'll let them be more specific about those numbers. I don't want to give the council incorrect information.
Thank you, Attorney Gruen. Mr. President, did you have more?
No, all set. Thank you.
I did a quick, and forgive me if this is redundant. I want to make absolutely certain. Will there be a particular specialization that we seek out in this new position?
It was not my intent to seek out specialization. My goal would be to find somebody with some municipal experience that was a well-rounded person that would be familiar with the issues that we deal with in the office on a daily basis.
The reason I circle back to this is because it seems to me as though this would be an identical position to the other two assistant town attorneys. Is that fair?
That is correct.
Job description would be identical.
That's correct. Those two job descriptions.
It's just a matter that you don't have it on you right now in front of you.
I don't have job descriptions,
right.
no.
I just wanted to confirm that. Echoing counsel from the 5th district in being consistent, normally I would support a motion to wait until we have, but this is a job description we've had for years. We know what this looks like. We know what's going to be expected of this position. So while I will expect to see it in writing, I see no reason to hold it up and to revisit it. I just would expect that we are emailed that job description in the next week or so. I believe Council at Large Caesar was next with a hand.
Thank you. Just an overall comment for everybody. I mean, I really think that when positions are being added to the budget by different departments, these things should all be like rock solid before they request it. We shouldn't be like filling a position, then do whatever it is afterward. I think if anybody wants to add a department line for a new position, they should have the idea down in terms of what it requires, what the expectations are going to be, all of that, and then we vote on it based on that need. Not here's the money, now go spend it the way you want to spend it. I mean, I think our fiscal responsibility needs to be that, prove you need the job, prove you need the position, give us the background. It's not just a reflection on Ms. Gruen. This is other departments too. It seems like, we fund these things and then go create the job description. I'd rather see what the job is actually going to entail and what the job is going to do, so we can see if there's redundancy or a need or whatever it may be. It just seems like we do this constantly in terms of like the process. I really think whenever a department's going to add something, we really should be like getting a job description along with the request for the new position, not the other way around. I just think it's sort of backwards in terms of the process. And just another comment as well too, we seem to also be approving positions after the people start their jobs. I don't understand that process either. I mean, we see names come down after somebody's already started their position. I mean, what's the point of voting on it? What are we going to vote no on the person after they've already started the job for a month and a half? I mean, it really seems to be a little ridiculous here in terms of the process. I mean, I think, like I said, I really hope that we can change that direction, because it just doesn't seem like it's the appropriate way to go. But like I said, it's not an indication I'm Ms. Gruen here at all. It's just an overall statement. I really think that we got to really reevaluate how we do these things.
Thank you, counsel. Point well taken. I agree completely with you. I feel your frustration that we often are asked to put the cart before the horse on these matters. As you said, I don't think that's a reflection on Attorney Gruen. I think Attorney Gruen has far and above shown the workload that she has for her department. So but I feel your frustration townwide. And point well taken. Counsel at Large, Roe Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I am in support of this to hire a new attorney, additional attorney. I think our town attorney has really put forth the reason why it is that the department wants this additional person. And I think we have to fund the personnel department so that they can structurally get software to basically create every single job description in town. That is something that is desperately needed. But I don't think it's the head of each department to do that. We have a personnel department, and those are the individuals we should be leaning on to do so. We should require that, not just for this department, but each and every department in town. And when we're leaning, we need to make sure we lean on the right person. And so we must lean on the personnel department, say, this is what we want. And so when these departments come open, then we will not have to ask our department heads to say, I need this or I need that. Those things should be already presented to us by the personnel department. But I most certainly will be supporting the addition, because we know what has been going on in Hamden as it relates to the attorney office. And so we know how many FOIs, everything that is coming to her. And so we want to make sure she is well staffed to do the job. Do you have all the tools and equipment to do your job? We want to make sure each and every department can answer affirmative in that. So I will most certainly be supporting that. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Again, point well taken. Completely agree. Counsel from the 6th District.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I agree in general, in principle, with the sentiment that we should know what we're hiring to do. My understanding of the case that the town attorney has made, and Mr. Chair, perhaps you could solicit a response to this, but my understanding of the way that office works is that the assistant town attorneys are basically a pool of attorney expertise, and the town attorney has to diversify those specialty areas as best she can to cover all the needs of the municipality, and that a specific job description is not really quite workable, because unlike labor union contracts where the things people can work on are explicitly defined, my understanding of the way the town attorney's office works is that things need to be assigned based on who's the best legal person in the office to do that work. If I don't understand that correctly, please clarify. But Mr. Chair, if you could seek some response from the town attorney on this matter, I think we should pass this, be done with it, and trust that our lead town attorney knows what she's doing with this. But it's an attorney labor pool, and they have subspecialties, but they need to step in for what the town needs. If I don't have that correct, then please clarify that for me. through you.
Thank you, counsel. Attorney Gruen, did you have anything?
I would agree with that. We're very fortunate that in addition to being good general attorneys, the assistant town attorneys do have particular areas of interest and expertise. And so we've been very fortunate to be able to share, to divert that workload to them. In addition to the areas of their specialty, they are required, to pitch in wherever needed, and they do, to cross cover and handle whatever work lands in the office. We don't go out looking for work, believe me. It lands in the office daily. Whether it's department heads, whether it's commissioners, whether it's council members, whether it's the general public, we have to be a little bit of an expert in all areas in each department. It's tough. It's a tough job and it's stressful, and we do the best we can. I appreciate everybody's comments. And the only thing I can tell you is I don't know when the last time those job descriptions were updated. I know in a long time ago, the land use attorney was a full-time position and the job description reflected that. That is no longer, the case, that it is just a land use position. Those job descriptions probably need to be updated as a general matter for any future employment.
So may I follow up quickly, Mr. Chair? So based on that, I think we should approve this based on the fact that it is a workload need, and that justifies the addition of the position. So I'll be supporting that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, counsel. Agreed. Seeing no further conversation, I don't currently see any hands up. Counsel Caesar, did you? Okay, all right. We'll move forward then. Is there any further conversation on the positions for the town attorney's office as they are proposed? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those.
Ms. Bias has her hand up.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I put it late. I was just going to make a quick note that I'll also be voting in favor of keeping this 20-hour position. Like you said, it's a workload situation. We also are technically saving money on this, on the unfortunate retirement, about $15,000. And I think that, the workload is going to have to be spread. So I'm in favor of adding this position for the office.
Thank you, counsel. And just one more remark that I had, I think Attorney Gruen, what you were saying about our job description speaks to Councilwoman Rowe Lewis's point that we do need to, I think, at some point revisit personnel and whether we've enabled them to do the work that they have to do in keeping these things organized and updated. So that's something that we as a council probably need to revisit and see what kind of work we need to do in terms of enablement there. Any further conversations on the town attorney's positions as proposed? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the town attorney's positions, please.
Councilman McDowell, can I clarify something?
Yes.
Ms. Gruen specified that these hours should be 20, and I don't know if a motion needs to be made for that.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to amend the new assistant town attorney position from 35 to 20 hours. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye, raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is there any opposition? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the amendment passes unanimously. And I will ask for any further discussion on the town attorney's positions as amended. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of the town attorney's positions as amended, please signify by saying aye or indicating on your screen.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? I see 2 members in opposition.
I got the 2.
Thank you. Is there any abstentions?
Abstain.
Council from the 5th District is abstained. Are there any other abstentions? Seeing none, the amended positions for the town attorney's office passed with 2 opposed and 1 abstention. And I'll pass it back to you, Mr. President.
I think I'm passing it right back to you, Mr. McDowell.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, thank you, members of the council, for your support.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gruen. Are you staying for ethics as well?
Mhm.
Thank you. So I'm playing the reverse card in Uno, Mr. McDowell, right back at you.
Sounds great. Sure no one's annoyed by my voice yet. Sorry, just looking at, we only have 1 expenditure here. Is that correct while I'm pulling it up?
Yes.
All right. While I'm pulling it up, if I can ask for a motion to please accept the mayor's proposed expenditures for ethics.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. President moved, seconded by council from the 6th District. Is there any discussion on the ethics expenditures? Council at large, Caesar.
Thank you. Just a quick question. For this particular expenditure, why isn't this something that could be done in the town attorney's office in terms of funding? Why do we have to have a special $5,000 line for this?
If I can speak to that, I believe it's because it needs to be independent of the administration. But I don't, Attorney Gruen, did you want to add anything to that?
That's correct. When and if there is a complaint, there's 2 parts of this. When and if there is a complaint, our office most often intervenes and tries to advise, I should say, not when there's a complaint, before there's a complaint. If there is an issue that we can address, that is always preferable so that a complaint doesn't come in. And knock on wood, we've been pretty fortunate dealing with things prospectively. The second thing is that if there is a complaint, there is often not just a requirement of an attorney, but an investigator, should it proceed to that level. And that is what that funding is for.
So you're saying
What you should know is that the work of the board and its chair has been admirable, and they have done an enormous amount of work pro se. And so I hope that helps clarify.
I'm sure with an additional $38,000 position now, we can definitely give them more assistance if they need it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council. Any further discussion? For anybody who is following along with us, it took me a minute to realize that we are on Board of Ethics, so it's under B in the budget, page 17. I don't know if there's any residents trying to follow along. I was looking for it under E for a while. I see no, council from the 5th District.
Thank you, Chairman. The only question I have through you, Chairman, for the administration, where does this money go if we don't expend it? So if it's swept, where does it go?
Director Jackson, would you mind speaking to that?
Sir, excuse me, certainly. If it is not utilized, there are really only 2 places where it can go. One is it is swept into the general fund on June 30th, or it is moved by action of the council to another line item across the fiscal year. I've not seen that happen.
Through you, Chairman, thank you.
Is that all, council?
Yes, Chairman.
Is there any further discussion on Board of Ethics expenditures as proposed? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of Board of Ethics expenditures, please signify by saying aye or indicating on your screen.
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any in opposition? Is there any abstentions? Seeing none, the Board of Ethics expenditures pass unanimously, and I will pass it back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Next up is probate courts on page 167 in the book. And Ms. Shoemaker will be leading us in the probate court, then the assessor, and then Counselor Farmer for review assessment.
Okay, so
Do you need me any longer or am I done?
Ms. Gruen, thank you so much for coming
Okay.
tonight. You are done. We appreciate you being here tonight and working for the town every day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
so probate court 167, I would entertain a motion to accept the mayor's recommended budget.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the mayor's recommended budget. Councilman at large.
Thank you very much. So I just want to clarify, because I received this question from a resident, and I want to just put this out there for anybody else who might be thinking about it. Can someone confirm for me, we have a couple items here for supplies. However, we don't see any staff here. So, perhaps Director Jackson, are you the right person to answer that? Could you please?
Yeah, let's find out.
Yes, so the probate courts, as of maybe 10 years ago, have been regionalized. And so they are funded through multiple tranches through the communities. And so you see this as the Hamden Bethany probate court in the state of Connecticut. And so the salaries fall onto the state. So that's why you do not see them here.
So the lines in question related to office supplies and, let's say, books, maps, and manuals. The thing that's under the office supplies, it doesn't appear that we've expended a lot. Is this a situation where invoices come in late in the year? I mean, that line is a little confusing because the mayor, the request is 2,500. The mayor has affirmed that, and yet the retrospective on this is much lower. So that's a little confusing to look at.
Yes, and obviously this last year has been a very different year for in-person operations. And so that's where those office supplies would come to pass. We fully expect to open. We fully expect that the probate courts will open under both local and state regulations. And so we want to provide them the ability to do what they need to do. I mean, it's usually a hard time when someone needs to go to the probate court.
Yeah,
and
no,
we don't want it. We
Right,
want to
right.
make it easy.
Understand. Do we have a fiscal year 19 expenditure line for that, Mr. Jackson, that might help clarify?
Yeah, so I got my iPad over to the side here. Let me see if I can.
It looks like Ms. Baez may have it in front of her. I'm not sure.
Oh, if I am happy to let Ms. Baez.
Ms. Baez, if you have that, chiming in here.
Would you like it for the entire department?
I'm looking right now at the office supplies line 15101-0610.
Office supplies actual for 18-19 was $999.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Mr. Jackson, that too is as much lower than 2,500. Now, is there such a thing as pent up demand in probate due to a shutdown? I mean, are those things that that they're going to have to catch up on?
Claims against the states, absolutely. And so I'm looking at 2021 actual as of this minute is 1865 and 14 cents.
Ah, okay. All right, so
And
there,
FY 19 actual was $2,716.15.
okay, all right, so the 2,500 looks a little more normal there. Now, Mr. McDowell, I believe you were asking about a couple of lines. Were you also asking, so that was the office supplies. Were you also asking about any other line?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you, Chairwoman. I was simply asking why we don't see the positions reflected here in our budget, and I believe that was adequately answered.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much. Councilwoman from the 8th District.
Oh, thank you. I have the last few years actuals. I was just going to share for informational purposes with everyone. For printing and reproduction, I'll start in the 2015. It was 2,052. In 2016, it moved to 2,918. In 2017, it was 2,580. In 2018, it was 3,263. So keeping in line more with the 3,300 than that big jump in 6,000. And office supplies, I'll just go through the last few years. It was 835, then 764, then 920 through 2018. So just for informational purposes for everyone.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Jackson, would the printing and reproduction line coming up in this coming fiscal year also need to reflect some pent up demand or not? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. It looks like the department for only 3,300 for this fiscal year. And we've just heard that other line items were lower than the 6,000, but we don't want to have a large transfers here. I assume that unused funds are swept into the general fund, but I'm trying to understand if there's going to be a special need in this coming fiscal year in this department, in these lines, based on the fact that we've been through a shutdown year.
We believe that what you have probably effectively referred to as pent-up demand exists out there in the world.
Okay.
We believe it's out there. There's no demonstrable proof. There's no survey or study I can give to you on that. But
Okay.
we believe it is out there.
Okay, thank you very much. I see that the councilman from the 5th District would like to join the conversation.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Through you to the administration, is there any other costs that are accounted for or that should be accounted for the probate court that the town takes up that's not reflected in the budget that we have before us? Through your Chairwoman.
Thank you for that question. Mr. Jackson, I think that goes back to you. Are we looking at all of the costs that we incur related to the probate court in Hamden?
Through you, Madam Chair, utilities are not captured on this page of the budget. Landscaping is not captured on this page of the budget, but they are incremental costs that would be that we would be subject to whether or not we were the host of the Hamden Bethany probate court.
This councilwoman from the 5th District, does that meet your needs?
Just to follow up, Chairwoman, are there any other regulatory, so I'm thinking of things, regulatory fines or fees. I'm thinking of things like evictions with the marshals being able to move stuff. Is there anything else like that should be or could be reflected to this department, but not necessarily put into the budget.
Mr. Jackson, might you speak to that?
Through you, Madam Chair, no. Any additional costs are borne by the state of Connecticut. This is an operation of the state of Connecticut hosted by Hamden for the purposes of Hamden and Bethany. And so Hamden and Bethany kind of combine to provide sort of day-to-day operational support, but all of the costs are borne by the state of Connecticut.
Understood. Thank you,
Very
Chairwoman.
helpful to know. Thank you. Councilman Farmer, are you all set?
I'm all set, Chairwoman. Thank you.
That's great. Let's see. Councilwoman at Large Bias, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to reduce the printing and reproduction line to $3,300 and reduce the office supplies line to $1,000.
Is there a second?
Second, Bonadi.
That you have that. Is there discussion on the amendment?
Can we clarify those lines please, with numbers?
Was,
15101 0515 printing and reproduction, I'm sorry, to $3,300. The second line I was referring to is 15101 0610 office supplies, and I'm proposing to lower to $1,000.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna recognize myself in response. I believe that we just heard that the year to date for this year in office supplies is approaching $2,000, that it's $1,865. It's hard for me to believe that the office supplies would go down that much in the coming fiscal year when the court's going to open again. I would like to move to divide the question so that we consider the lines separately.
Second.
Thank you. So I'm discussing the office supplies line separately now from the printing and reproduction line and suggesting that.
Point of clarification.
I'm sorry.
Chairwoman, don't we have to vote on dividing the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. All in favor of the motion to divide the question, please signify by saying aye. Ms. Renta, do you see? If you're voting aye, would you?
Yeah. Okay, it looks like hands went up. All right, let's do the no's.
And are there no's? And are there abstentions?
It's unanimous.
Were you abstaining? I'm sorry, Councilwoman Bonadies from the 9th. Are you abstaining on that one? You're muted. I'm sorry. You're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was voting no to divide the question.
Okay, that was a no to divide. Thank you.
Got it.
So that was not an abstention. Thank you. All right, so I believe the motion to divide passed. Thank you, Councilman from the 5th. Getting tired, I am. I appreciate your help. So now I'm suggesting that the office supplies line might not be sustainable at that deep cut because of this year's year-to-date expense of 1,865 for office supplies, which I believe just reported to us. So I'll be voting no on this line reduction. Is there any other discussion of the office supplies line, please?
Can we get, oh, sorry, I hit my hand. Can I?
No,
speak?
that's okay. Go for it.
Can we get another rundown of what the years are? Because to jump during the COVID era to double from last year seems weird. Maybe I wrote down the numbers wrong.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, through you, if I may respond, and my eyes get tired at this time of night, so I need to change my glasses. At fiscal year 2020, the actual expenditures were in this line were $1,123.36.
Okay.
So far, FY 21, the actual expenditures are $979.98.
Oh, okay. So I had that incorrect number from somewhere. So
This is office supplies 0610.
yes, correct.
No, okay, nope, I'm still wrong. Give me 1 second. Office supplies. Office supplies 151010610. FY 20 actual costs were $857.66. FY 19 numbers were $999 and no cents, and actual this year to this moment is $257.95.
Okay, so that's the 258. All right. So thank you. I stand corrected on my figures. So that makes the 1,000 for next year look more reasonable. Appreciate the clarification on that. Is there any other discussion on the office supplies line 0610? Seeing none, I'll ask for the vote. All those in favor of reducing that line to $1,000 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
For the record, Chairwoman, I was an aye.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Rowe Lewis, you are opposed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one opposed.
One opposed. Okay. So that passes with one opposed. All right, so the printing reproduction line, reduction from 6,000 to 3,300 is now on the floor. Is there any discussion on that line? Any discussion? I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, let's vote on that. All in favor signify by saying aye or putting your thumb up.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? There's Valerie, were you, I'm sorry, Councilwoman from the 4th, were you opposed?
No, I was for, just a late for.
Thank you, sorry.
Okay. Councilwoman Rowe Lewis is opposed.
Any? Thank you. Any abstentions? I believe everyone voted. All right. So is there any other discussion on this budget? Any other discussion on this budget, which has now been amended? All right, I'm going to ask for the vote on the budget for the probate court as amended. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, I believe that was unanimous. And
I was opposed.
I'm
I got
sorry, I can't see. It's very hard to see.
It's tough. It's tough.
Were there abstentions that I missed as well?
I didn't see any abstentions.
Okay, great. Well, I believe that we have completed our work on the probate court. And I thank you. Now, am I supposed to do assessor too?
We're still with you on assessor, Ms. Shoemaker.
Okay, let's go to the assessor, which is page, assessor's office,
11, Chairwoman.
page 11. And I would like to ask for a motion to entertain revenues in the assessor's office. May I have that?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Any discussion on revenues, fees from producing copies of parcel maps and field cards? Take a minute to look at it. I'm not seeing any hands. I'll wait another few seconds. Are we ready to vote?
Looks like Councilwoman Wetmore.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry,
Um,
Large Wetmore. I didn't mean to ignore you. I didn't see.
Oh, that's fine. On the professional tech service, that's line 10601.
Councilwoman, I'm sorry to bother you. We're looking at revenues right now at the top.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see the
No, that's
revenue.
okay. Just to
I'll
get them
wait.
out of the way.
Wish there was more of the revenues, though.
Yeah, no, I know.
Thank you.
Seeing no discussion on the revenues, I will ask for the vote. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Thank you. Anyone opposed? Now I'm going to look very carefully. I don't see any opposition. Any abstentions? Don't see any of those either. All right, the revenues passed unanimously. That was the easy part. Thank you very much. Now I would like a motion to entertain expenses, accepting this, leaving out the salary line for the time being. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman at Large, Ro Lewis. Okay. So we are considering now the expense lines aside from salaries in the assessor's office. And Councilwoman from the Councilman from the 5th, I believe you first had your hand up.
Yeah, I will leave the professional technical and my esteemed colleague at large handle that. I did have a question through you, Chairwoman. The GIS updates, we have 0. So I wanted to understand, does that mean we have everything we need for our GIS system moving forward? Through you, Chairwoman?
That's a very good question. Mr. Stannard, I see that you're here. Would you kindly unmute so that you could join this conversation?
Yes, how are you doing?
Thank you very much. So the question has arisen about there's no request for revenue in the GIS updates line in the assessor's office budget. And would you just explain to us, does that mean our GIS system already has everything we need?
I believe the revenue would be from selling copies of maps from the GIS. And that's been no request. As far as the updating, that's continual. I believe we have a contract with New England Geosystems for any updates that we send them, maybe once, twice a year.
So
That's in the maintenance, I guess. I think it's in the maintenance cost.
well, but that expense that expense does not seem to be reflected in this budget summary.
Okay, I will talk with Scott or Rick and we'll figure that out.
Our question is, there's no expense for GIS updates reflected in the budget, and we're sort of surprised that we don't have that expense. Mr. Jackson, do you have anything to add to this?
Certainly, there are expenses that are bundled into other contracts. And so that's where these items exist. We are not walking away from GIS in any way, shape, or form. In fact, we're moving forward to provide additional capacity within that system. One of the reasons why fees and reproductions, was cut by close to $2,000 was because we engage in contracting that provides this service just through another mechanism.
Right. That's what I mean.
So where in this budget do our ongoing expenses for GIS updates, where does that appear? That it's not appearing in the assessor's expense budget.
Some of it is in IT, some of it is in the assessor's budget through professional tech, but some of it is in engineering, some of it is in planning, but typically it lands in the 0590 object code within the budget.
The 0590 object code. Okay, great.
Which is professional technical services.
Okay.
Oh, next year's budget will have more because we're going to get more into the development of the GIS for our department, along with trying to get a flyover. And I believe the state already has flyovers, but that's another thing we'll have to deal with next year.
Right, and that's a great point. So the flyovers by DEEP, by Regional Water Authority, by United Illuminating, we collect this information and kind of massage it into a format that hopefully is useful not only for us but for our customers.
Plus, OPM gives grants for this as well for flyovers, and August, a number of towns have gotten it.
Councilman Farmer, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just to clarify, so we are looking to do updates next year, but none this year.
That's correct.
Thank you. I'm all set, Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman at Large Wetmore and Councilwoman from the 9th District, Bonadies, you both have your hands up. I did not see who went up first. Would you like to flip a coin, or does somebody want to volunteer to go first?
Marjorie can go first.
Okay, thank you. I'll put my hand down. I have a question regarding line 106010590, the professional technical.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a typo there, but the department quest is 17,000 and the mayor put in 117,000. Is that a typo?
That is not a typo. Madam Chair, if I may respond to that.
Oh, please do. We are all ears.
We have certain contracts and we think that it's important. And I think the council believes it's important too, to be able to capture the actual costs. So we have certain contracts where it had been that the payment was taken out of the revenue side of the equation. That is to say, we hire a firm to do a property audit, they get so much in revenue and they would take the fee out of the revenue. We wanted to make that more more transparent. And so we put the cost on one side, which you see in this 106010590. But if you go to the, for example, if you go to the tax office, it's also reflected on the increased revenue side. So it's solely a matter of transparency.
And what I would like to see a list of those contracts like we do. We usually have a list of all the ongoing contracts. Could we see that delineated here in this part of the budget?
Certainly, and yeah, let me make a note of that. Every contract that would fall in this category has been approved by the Legislative Council.
Okay. And I had last year when we had to find the money to do our statistical update for the reval, we remember at the moment where we got that money, but I suggested putting some money in our budget each year to, because we know that every 5 years we're going to have a reval, and it would be nice that we, planned for that expense and that we were able to afford it when next time 2025 rolls around, we would have some money to put towards our reval. And my understanding was the 375,000 that we spent was for a statistical update. It wasn't a full revaluation. We were doing kind of a stopgap.
Hybrid, if we call it.
Okay.
So who would like to take that? Maybe Mr. Jackson from the finance allocation perspective. Would you start with that response, please?
Absolutely, and I think what Councilwoman Bonadies is proposing is a very solid idea. Typically, and so I'm going to step on some of my words from earlier. Typically, we have financed revals through the capital budget, but we didn't do a capital budget. So I wasn't around. But probably what happened was we got to do it. It's required by law. We got to find the money. Yeah. And so that's something that really hadn't happened before, at least in my experience. So I think it's a fine idea. I mean, essentially it's pre-funding the reval that is coming. But
I understand that you can't put money in the budget this year that you're going to spend. You have to fund the budget. I don't know how financially, you're going to do it with accounting standards by putting money aside for it's a known expense, it's a required expense. But are we able to put money aside? I'd rather not borrow money to do that known expense. I would rather plan for that expense and be able to pay for it out of operating. So I don't know how that can be done in accounting, how it could be done cleanly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it ends up looking like two trains on the same track going toward each other. And how do you resolve that situation? We could resolve it through good budgeting, good accounting, and building the fund balance. So the fund balance is there to support it if, for whatever reason, we choose not to, or we are unable to, for some reason, capitalize that expenditure. So I mean, you can't. One thing that you can't do is you can't just overtax because you want more money. You want more money in your fund balance. It's not allowable under law. That doesn't mean you can't budget smartly, but you can't have a line in your budget that's, we're gonna take $0.1 million and we're gonna put it into a sideways account.
I see.
That's not allowable.
Right, that's what I was concerned about. So I guess my thought then was whether can we fund E and C for that? Can we just take it out of our fund balance once we realize savings? We're planning on building our fund balance this year and the following year. That's our plan for deficit mitigation. I just don't want to borrow money for the next revaluation. I want it to come out of money that we've conscientiously put aside for that known upcoming expense.
So, Mr. Jackson, I think I heard you say the fund balance would be the vehicle for that.
If we did not want to capitalize that expense, yes, it would need to be a budgeted expenditure, or in the year that it's going to happen, or taken out of fund balance through that same budgeting process. Once you have a fund balance, you can take money out of the fund balance at your will.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bonnet, I'm sorry, Councilwoman from the 9th District. You still have the floor.
I appreciate the answer. I just wish there was a way that we could, as I said, fund it and not have to scramble in that expense. So just
I certainly hear that.
Thank
I think
you.
we know what the options are. Thank you very much. Councilwoman at Large Wetmore, I believe you were next in line, and then we have Councilwoman from the 8th District.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I would like to go back to the professional tech service, the 106010590.
Yes.
I agree with Councilwoman Bonadies. This is what I noticed as well. I'm not really satisfied with the answer, but I agree with her that I would like to see all these contracts and so forth, and a better explanation of why that's so much higher, $100,000 higher. So if that could be given to us or sent to us, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So Mr. Jackson, yeah, this is a little confusing for us. I believe you said that this expense line is reflecting actual costs, and we'd like to see the list of those contracts with their actual costs. And then it's also confusing because the revenues are reflected in the tax office. So I guess we sort of need a little explanatory memo on this with line items so that we can see how those lines work together, so that when we deliberate on the tax office this Saturday, looks like it's on the schedule, it would be helpful if we could see those pluses and minuses kind of laid out together. I believe that's the request.
Absolutely, and most of these land and back taxes, so it's 10106, 10108-0802. But I'll definitely put pen to paper and have something for you before Saturday.
You still have the floor, Councilwoman Wetmore, but you're muted. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I would like to make a motion to table this until we have further information and get it straightened out between the tax office and here. I'm not very good with money numbers, so I need to see it in black and white.
I wonder if, oh dear, it's done. Sorry.
I withdraw my second. I apologize. You were speaking, Councilwoman Schumacher.
I wonder if we could recognize.
Point of order as well. I'm going to have to make a Mr. Gagliardi point of order. You can't speak to an item and then table it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you for that.
Sorry, Mr. Wetmore. Didn't mean to, jump in on, but.
So that solves the problem. But we could come back for another turn. But we have a couple other people who want to speak to this. Councilor Nolan, you have the floor.
Thank you. I actually was speaking about the same line item. I would like to know exactly where the income side is. I know you said it was basically property tax audits. I'm not sure what that means. What does that mean, Director Jackson, a property tax audit? Did you mean personal property tax audit we were going to do this year?
Director Jackson.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, that's what it means. We have engaged in contracts for many years where we hire outside vendors to review the personal property tax reports submitted by companies and validate those. So that's what the majority of this is. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a $100,000 contract to an outside firm to conduct a personal property tax audit on commercial properties in Hamden.
That is not exactly correct. What it is these contracts are set up in such a way where the firms retain a proportion of what they add to the tax roll.
But what is the contract for? I guess that's what I'm trying to.
Oh, it's for personal property audits. So you say that you have $100,000 worth of equipment and merchandise in your business, and our vendors go in and knock on the door and say, "Hey, let me take a look at it," and they say, "No, you've got like 300,000, and you owe taxes on that delta, that 100,000 to 300,000."
Okay.
And they get a proportionate payment based upon that.
Right, and so it's on a contingency basis based on what they are able to collect for us.
That is correct.
Contract wouldn't be for $100,000. So it seems like the accurate accounting would be to just account for the amount of money we think we're going to earn. And that would be based on our 3-year actuals. So this seems to actually further confuse the situation as opposed to clarifying it. And could you perhaps, since it sounds like we may be tabling this, perhaps Director Jackson, you could look at the 3-year actuals and maybe we could put it back the way it was, both for consistency from year over year, and because we won't actually be paying out money. I think it's going to be very difficult for you to figure out what part of the expenses. You're going to have to go back and do the math and make a different journal entry to record an expense that we weren't actually giving a disbursement for.
I do not disagree. The flip side to that I think was part of our calculus was, how much does a service cost you? And when we're taking or when we're allowing the revenue to take on the expense, it becomes a very difficult question to answer.
Well, thank you for sharing the thought process. I appreciate knowing the background. I look forward to further details on it. I'm not quite sure it's crystal clear yet for many of us. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Council. And Director Jackson, I believe that we have been clear that we would like some sort of a memo where you collect these lines with some more information so that we can kind of see where the expenses and the revenues are coming in the budget, and that will be very helpful. And if we could have that prior to our Saturday deliberations, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Let's see. I believe Councilman from the 5th District had his hand up again, and then yeah, I'm not sure who was after that, but Councilman from the 5th District, did you have more to say in this conversation?
No, I think I'll just hold my thoughts. I think the sentiments have been well stated. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. Does anyone know whose hand was up next?
It would be Wetmore, Bonaduce, Caesar.
Councilman Caesar has not had a chance yet. What do you say we let him take a turn?
Well,
Can I just say one thing? There are no actuals. I went back and looked at the 3-year. There are no actuals in that line. It was 0.
Thank you.
Information. No question.
Like to
Thank
make, like to make a motion to table.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to table this line. There's no discussion on a motion to table. All those in favor of tabling signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? That looks like it was unanimous. No surprise in that. All right, so we have tabled line 10601-0590. Now, are there other lines of interest for discussion to council members in the expenditure request in the assessor's office? That was the big one. Anything else? Last call for anything else in this. Okay. It looks like we are ready to vote on the expenditures as amended by the tabling of one line. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? That looks like that was unanimous as well. And we are now ready to consider the positions. May I have a motion to accept the mayor's recommended budget for positions in the assessor's office?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Looks like we have a tag team there. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on these positions? Mr. President.
Just so, I'm sure someone will ask, are all the raises are contractual?
Yes, everyone in this department is covered by a collective bargaining agreement. Every increase is reflective of what's in those agreements.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other discussion on the councilman from the 5th District?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Through you, the only question I have is on steps. I see that we were at 103,000. We bumped from 80 something to 95,000. So how long until we get to the next step, I guess is my question.
If I understand you correctly, the actual for this year is 87 and change, and the bump is to 95 and change for next year. So that's a step, and then you wonder when the next step occurs. Okay.
Correct.
Mr. Jackson,
Thank you.
you happen to have at your fingertips that information? You're still muted. Oh dear. I can't unmute you.
Mr. Jackson, you're still muted, sir.
Yeah, he's looking for it. Can you unmute him, Mr. President?
And I can ask him to unmute.
Got
There.
it. Got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
The
Question about the next step in this particular position's salary, the assessor.
Yes, there's a single annual increase. And so the budget reflects any steps that may occur within the year, as well as any general wage increase, a GWI that covers that position.
So is there no general time interval between steps?
Yes, annually.
Annual step increases.
Indeed. And that's what's captured in this budget proposal.
Councilman from the 5th, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I asked that because that seems like a bigger step than usual. So I just want to flag that because that seems like a substantial step. So if it's contractual, we have to pay it. But I just want to flag that for my colleagues that we're looking at these things and we're bringing it to the administration because it's a substantial step. I'm sure well-deserved, but I think this is something we have to monitor. Thank you, Chairwoman.
You're quite welcome. I'm just gonna go down the list here. Councilwoman at large, Baez, I see your hand up.
I just want to mention what was in our previous conversation about this department, which is that we need to, my note here is we need the right job description so we can have a certified assessor. What is the process for recreating this job description? It seems we've already filled the assessor position, but are they a certified assessor? And do we still have this problem?
Mr. Jackson, do you have a response to that?
I'm not. It certainly sounds like there were problems, and we lost a couple of assessors along the way. We do have a certified assessor who is holding the position. I don't like this. His badge says interim assessor. I don't like that. He is our chief assessor. Until such time as we decide that he's not our chief assessor. But we do have a chief assessor. He is certified. He has worked in this industry for decades and worked in multiple communities. So I hope that's responsive to your question.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Mr. Stannard, would you care to chime in on whether or not you're certified or certifiable or whatever?
Yes, I am duly certifiable. I've been a certified supervisor, revaluation supervisor for over 20 years and a CPMA2 assessor for over 10 or 12 years now. So I can actually review the reval as it happens or do it myself. I once had my own reval company.
You still have the floor.
All right, that's my question. I'm glad it's answered. Thank you.
Great, yes. Who's next? Oh, Councilwoman from the 8th District, Dolan, please.
Thank you. And welcome, Mr. Stannard. We've spoke on the phone a few times, but it's nice to put a face to the voice. Thank you for all your work. Thanks for our reval.
I love a challenge.
Yeah, I bet. We're going to be nice to you because we don't want to lose you to East Haven.
My friend.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's an old friend. 30, I've been around 30 years, 30 and a half years, and he was one of the first clients I worked for in East Haven. Our corporate office was in East Haven, next to the Twin Pines Diner. Lesher Glendenning Municipal Services. I've done the East Haven reval 3 times, only before, along with Guilford. 86 revaluation projects in 48 Connecticut towns, put it that way. Almost a half a million parcels under my belt.
Thank you for sharing, and welcome, and thank you. I wanted to piggyback on Councilman Farmer's sort of question. And I don't need to hold it up for tonight, but I'm wondering if we could just double check the math. The assessor's line, I understand, is a 9% increase because of a step, but how about the assistant to the assessor and the real property appraiser? Those are 16% increases. In 1 year, it just sounds like an awful big increase. I'm just wondering if we could put a double check on it and make sure the math is right. And I don't hold it up. I will still be voting for the positions, but perhaps you could double check it and get back to us on Saturday with the other stuff. I guess
Steve Picaro just had an anniversary. I know that for 1 year.
But
yeah, so this came up at our last budget meeting as well.
Okay.
When you move into a position, the first couple of years, there are big increases because you may have a contractual increase in your salary on top of a step, on top of a GWI. And so that's the way the contracts are written. So if this is a department where 3 out of the 4 members weren't there 14 months ago. And so that's the type of situation where you end up in this, in this type of position.
Yikes. Okay, so it sounds like you've already done your homework and you were also shocked and surprised and verified these numbers.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for clarifying. Thank you.
I won't get a step until a year from July 1, I hope.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman from the 9th District.
Yes, thank you. Finance Chair Jackson did answer, but that is my understanding. But so I just thought it was a step increase and a general wage increase. What's the other increase? So we're talking about 3 increases. What was the third leg of that stool?
If you get promoted, if you work for the town in we'll call it the town hall union, you work for the town, you get promoted to another position, there is you have to get a 5% bump. That's in the contract. If you get promoted within the bargaining unit, there is a minimum entry salary, and that's 5% more than you were making wherever you were before.
Okay, but you said there's a step in the first few years, 5 years of your employment, you're moving up the ladder, your salary grows very quickly the first years while you're on the steps increases. But so I know there's a general wage increase that is contractual. There's the step increases, but in the third, you're saying is just the 5% for promotion.
That's correct.
Third. So the assessor in his position, there's the town 2021 says 103. He's currently at 107. Why is there such a difference between the first column, which says 103, 467 versus the current?
Not making that.
Yeah, the 103, 467 is not being currently earned by the assessor.
Right.
But it says that in the fiscal year 2021, 103. So why is that? I've often wondered, why is that?
That is where the former assessor would have landed.
Right.
Okay. So got it. So there's so you can see 5% increase, a general wage increase of 2.5, and the step increases are, what are the percentages on the step increases? Are they beyond that?
They are specific to the position within the CBA.
Okay, thank you. I think
All set?
coming up soon.
All set?
Thank you.
Okay. Any more? I don't see any more hands discussing the personnel lines. So it looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Or aye. Anyone opposed? I see 2 opposed.
2, yeah, okay.
Any abstentions? Okay, passes with 2 opposed. And I'm bouncing this off to somebody else at this point.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be Councilor Farmer.
Thank you, Council President. If I remember correctly, of review assessments, correct?
That is correct.
That is page 186. Can I have a motion to accept?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Baez, second by the Council President. Great. Any questions, comments, concerns? I'm seeing none. I'm going to take the liberty to ask a question. I guess I don't have to, well, I guess through me to Director Jackson, the stipends, it says 3 members. They're in my book. I didn't see any description. So can you break that down for us?
Sure. So we are concluding right now our annual process on assessment appeals. There are 3 community members recommended by the mayor and appointed by the council to provide this service. So if you feel aggrieved by, the letter you get saying this is your assessment for the year, you get to appeal to them. And so that's who these folks are. It's what they do. They take a great deal of time in the first part of any given year to review all the case files and all the backup. And so that's why many boards and commissions do not have a stipend. But that's why the town has decided that this one earns it.
Thank you for that description. Any thoughts, concerns from any of my colleagues? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. Any in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. And I don't believe I don't have anything else. So, Council President, to you, through you,
There are positions. So maybe we should just do those. There's the expense.
okay, I see the positions now. I apologize. So I will move on to the positions in the mayor's proposed budget. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Horsley. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Weber. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes, and I will pass it back to you as amended or as given, Council President.
Thank you very much, Councilor Farmer. Ms. Rint, I just want to double check on our list of tabled items. We had the tabled item from probate court. Is that correct?
From probate?
Yeah, were we tabling or did we not? I stepped away for a moment.
Yeah, the only thing I have tabled is the assessor's office professional tech line at 117,000.
Yeah. All right, we'll just keep track of that. You'll do a better job of it than I will. And I'd just like to encourage the council to mail in questions ahead of time. Some of these are all good questions. We need the answers, but there's some that Mr. Jackson or our department heads could have brought to the table with them, so we can get the answers prior to their deliberation. Saturday, A relatively big day. We start with the Board of Ed, the registrar, town clerk, library, lunch break, and then purchasing tax office, QVHD, and mental health. So hopefully we can move through those on that day. That's a lot of work tonight. Good work, everyone.
Point of clarification on that, Council
Yes, Mr.
President.
Farmer.
Will somebody from the Health Department and the Board of Ed be joining us on Saturday?
The Board of Ed, yes, health, QVHD, I'm not as sure right now. It's a little more difficult to make sure someone from there is coming, but I will check.
Thank you.
Mr. McGarry, I could say that I invited the health director from QVHD.
Thank you. Do we have any feedback from them yet, or?
I will confirm. She was going to go to the last Saturday, so I'll just, I'll make sure and let you know.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sendroff. All right, everyone, thank you very much. Good work today, and we are in recess at 8:48 p.m. Have a pleasant evening, everyone.
Good evening. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Standard, for being here tonight, and Mr. Sendroff.
Appreciate it.